Well, hello there, my crafty friends. I'm excited today to show you how to make this card. And this card is using our frosted gingerbread bundle, which is out in our mini catalog, of course. And this here is the stamp set, as you can see. And then you get, if you get the bundle, you get these beautiful dies that match it just beautifully. And you've got one shape that is not in the stamps, so you can actually make all kinds of stars all on their own, and they are beautiful, as well as you can make them solid stars. But these three shapes, and I have the snowflake just over there, but these three shapes, you can not only cut out the detail design, but you can cut around your stamped image. And so these dies, you can also make the peppermints. So you've got the circles as well as the spiral for the candy. And this amazing design, which I'll show you when we get to the inside of the card. But these dies are amazing. And the other amazing thing is that we have gingerbread paper. And in this gingerbread paper, as you can see, there's a star that you can cut out with that image, as well as you can see here, I've already cut out the snowflake that we're going to use, as well as I've cut out the ornament that we're going to use. And then this is all the 6x6 paper that comes in this pack. Nice variety of the Christmas colors, gingerbread patterns, gingerbread cookies, peppermints, all kinds of cookies and candies, and look at all the different designs and the Christmas colors. So that is a great set. And then I'm going to be also showing you how to use the stencils. And this one in particular is great for our peppermint and gingerbread series. So you can see it here on page 75 in our catalog. And it has the gingerbread, which could be used for other occasions as well. And really the only really Christmassy one is the snowflake one. But these could be used any time of the year. I personally like the stripe. So there you go. Those are the things we're going to feature today. But I'm going to put the mask over here for now because I first of all want to take our shapes that we have because we need to use the dies to cut. So I'll move my tool there. And I've put the snowflake in the mini because we just need the little shapes. So these fit very well in the mini machine. And look at that. That is the beautiful, look, it doesn't look like you've just iced your cookie. I don't ice that fancy. It looks pretty good. And then we're going to get out the die for the ornament. So this time we're not going to use the detailed one. We're going to use the big shape. So I'm going to go back on this side. Put these guys in here. And when you place these onto your paper, you're going to notice that the brown little rim around it, it disappears because of the edge of the die. But that's okay. And that actually helps you to see exactly where to place it. And once you place it into your cut and emboss machine, you're going to then put in your next cutting plate. And, oh, it doesn't want to quite move on me. Come on. There we go. Try not to jiggle the table too much. All right, look at that. The mini cut and emboss did it. Here is our ornament. So we can put the die back over there. So now we're just getting everything ready. We have our two ornaments cut and ready to go. And so now we're going to bring in our mask. And when I use a mask, I always use a silicone mat. I really like using the silicone mats because the mess is on the mat and not anywhere else. And so I usually try to have two if possible. And one I use to put my mask, and you can see I didn't do the greatest job in cleaning it, but this still can be all scraped off, or you can soak it again in the water. But the one thing about embossing paste is that you do have to be very careful that you do not leave your paste, because it will be in big lumps and make a mess of your mask, because it dries like cement. So, and quickly. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a few pieces. Now you can see in this case, I am using painter's tape. You could use Scotch tape. You could use masking tape. You could use washi tape. There's all kinds of ways that you can do that. So we just want it to be secure, except for forgot my paper. I'm getting too excited to show you. Let's see, let's put our paper down. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to use our craft paper, which comes in a 6x6 piece. And we're going to lay that, of course, underneath, because how do we get it embossed if we don't put it underneath? Silly me. Okay, I just love embossing, whether it be with the heat gun and the powders, but I have also really been enjoying doing embossing with the embossing paste. I do have another video that I show you all kinds of tips as well in making all kinds of things with our embossing tape, excuse me, embossing paste, and all the tips, excuse me. So again, you want to make sure that you keep your foam so that it can try to stay as moist as possible. I'm going to use this tool, which is in our catalog. And then we have also, well, there's actually a total of 3 tools. And so I am going to use today just the basic white. I am not going to use the shimmery today. I'm just going to use the plain old paste. So normally I would have, if I was changing colors or mixing colors, I would use it on another silicone mat. But today we are just going to put it straight onto our mask. So I've taken the white. I'm not coloring it because I want it to stay white. And when you put this on, you're going to work with whatever direction. And because this particular stencil, the lines are going, in my case right now, left to right. Being a teacher, it kind of is habit that you work left to right. But that's what you want to do, is just move in the direction, because if you don't, you are going to get underneath the stencil and then you won't have the clean cut design, and that doesn't look as pretty. So you definitely need to put it down. It doesn't matter if you have bigger blotches here at the beginning. The key is we're just trying to get it covered. I had a little edge of paper. I should have cut that bit off, but that's okay. You can always cut it off later. But this is now where we can start scraping it off. Put some of that in there. You can see that you really do not need much embossing paste. This I've had for over a year, and because I keep it closed whenever I can, as soon as we're done, I will close it again. And that's what I do, is I just use a very thin layer of it, and it goes a long ways. Now, again, you want to make sure that you put your embossing paste in. I tend to try to scrape it and put it as close to the bottom as possible, so that I don't have too much that's going to be drying out. Try to put that as much as possible. Close it up nice and tight, and that's how you can keep that nice and clean. Now, you could use a baby wipe and you could clean that off. Actually, for the video, I have a tub of water right beside me. So I'm going to put my tool in there, as well as I'm going to put this mask. So don't forget to either take it to your sink right away, or to put it in a tub of water until you're finished making your card or your stencil. mask, and then that way you can make sure it's all good for the next time. So now we're going to lift. And this is what I love about embossing, whether you're doing wet embossing or embossing paste. Da, 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 it makes some magic. Look at the magic. Now I'm going to put that right into my water. There we go. And now we have our beautiful gingerbread design. Now, it doesn't take too long for this to dry, but you definitely need to put it aside and let it dry. And many times it will be dry to touch, but it still may not be dry enough to actually work with. So I actually did make one ahead of time so that we can have one to work with right away. So this is exactly what I did, but now it is all dry. And actually, if you get some on your silicone mat here, same thing. You could either wipe it off with a wipe, or you could put it in the tub here as well. All right, so here is our piece of our card front that we're going to use. And so I have my cutter. I'm going to take my cutter, and we are going to cut this just to make the edges straight. I'm first of all going to cut this part off so that I can have a nice edge to work with. And now I'm going to cut this to 4 inches. So now I'll cut this side. Now you could save that for another card, but we're not going to need that for today. Now, same thing here. I want to make sure that I don't have the yucky edge. So I'm going to cut that edge off so it looks nice. Now I can turn it around and cut it to the right size. So I have mine pre-marked here, so it's my cheat sheet is 5 1/4. We are going to cut that. I just find it so easy. This is the one cut, and this is the inside cut, and that way I always have that on my cutter as a good reference, and it goes a lot faster. So there we go. Now we have our card front. I have the card base, which I'm using cherry cobbler. And what we're going to do here is we are going to take this piece of our craft paper, which we embossed, and we are going to glue that right onto the front. So you can use Stampin' Seal, or you can use glue, whatever you prefer using. I like our multi-purpose glue. So there we go, just around the edges. And then you can decide if you want the gingerbread design going up. That's normally how you would be icing, so I'm going to go this way. I'm a little bit off screen, sorry. So there we go. That piece is done. Okay, let's get ready for the other things. I'm going to bring this in here so you can see. I have a ribbon, and this ribbon is our cherry cobbler and gold ribbon that's in our mini catalog. And so I'm just going to tie a little bow. This is very shiny, and with that cobbler, cherry cobbler, it looks really pretty. Okay, I don't want it too big. I think that will be a good size. So now I'm going to snip my ribbon. Oops. Oh boy, that frayed not too good. I'm using my wrong scissors. That's what the problem is. I have another pair that I use only for ribbon cutting. Oh, see what a difference. If you use your scissors for paper, then they're not so good for ribbon. Okay, so now we have our bow. All right, and then you can also choose, in this particular card, I put some Wink of Stella. So you could do that if you want to take your Wink of Stella, and you could decorate by either just doing the lines, or you could do the whole thing. I like shimmer and dazzle, so I'm going to just do the whole cookie. But doesn't that look like a real decorated cookie? I'll tell you something, when I make my gingerbread or sugar cookies, I don't decorate quite that fancy. I do know how, but it does take a lot of time. But cutting this through the die cut and on this fancy paper, voila, that's pretty easy. All right, so we got these two to dry. So we're gonna put those guys over there. Now the next step that we have to do is we need our piece here of our rectangle. Now this is one of the stitched rectangles that I'm using, and I am going to use some white embossing powder, and I'm just going to use the buddy to get a little bit of the static off my paper, and I'm going to use a Versamark. Oh, and I guess I need my stamp. That would help. Here we go. Couldn't see it for a second. Which one will we use? Let's use this one. And actually, I don't want the words to twist. So the best thing is, so that you don't twist it, is to put it down on the table and then lift. Okay, so now we're going to take Happy Holidays, because I don't want something too big for this one, although I do like the other sentiments. Oh, it's out of screen, sorry. Just want to make sure I got that straight. Press down. Voila. Bring in the white embossing powder. Put that on top and just give it a shake. Oh, doesn't that look good? Okay, so excuse the noise for just a second. I'm going to turn this on. Pretty good. Just wait for it to get hot. And once it starts, then you can move your heat gun. There we go. Turn it around. Don't want to burn your fingers. Now it's all nice and shiny. So there we go. We got our sentiment. And now, one of the rectangles I also did a little bit bigger. And I used the embossing folder called Tasteful Texture 3D folder. And it makes this really beautiful, neutral kind of design. And it's just nice to have something that doesn't overtake, because I want the gingerbread icing to be the one that is the background in the show, not everything. Well, I want the candy and the peppermint, not peppermint, gingerbread. To show. Okay, so now we're going to get ready, and as you can see, I didn't glue this one down. I did put it down with dimensionals. So let's take some dimensionals here, and I'll just move this off our card for a minute. And usually this size I would use 5, so 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle. Take the backs off. There we go. Whoops. Leave my garbage all over. Okay. So now we're going to take our card. And I'm going to put it pretty much in the middle. Just like that. That looks good. Okay. So now for placement, just kind of arrange your pieces before we do any gluing, just to make sure it's all going to fit there good, because it does depend where you put this piece. So as you can see, in order to get this piece at least in there, you do have to have your ornament a little bit more to the left. So now we can put some dimensionals on the back of our ornament. I'm going to have just enough on this sheet. Okay, so then I want to put it right there, because I'm going to use this ribbon kind of on the top of the ornament. And how I do that is I usually use my glue dot, and I put my ribbon right on the glue dot, pick it up and then put it down. Look at that. Okay, now we need our dimensionals. Now, because this one we're going to go a little bit over, I am only going to put a few dimensionals on a few sides, probably 3 of them. If we put them on all of them, then because of the fact that we have already lifted this rectangle, then it would be double on one side. And we don't want it double. We want it to be the same height. So we're going to take off, sorry, not in screen. And then we're going to just put a little bit of glue here. And then just make sure you got the right 3 going off the paper. Just like that. There you go. Oh, I got red on this time. That one I had green, but that's okay. So same thing here. We want to put, and this time actually I'm going to use the little mini dimensionals. And let's make sure we got it right. We want it on the bottom. So we're just going to put a few of these on the bottom because again, the top piece is right onto our rectangle. So we'll take the papers off and then we're going to put just a little bit of glue on the top. And which side? Side mostly with happy. Okay, now we're going to put that on. Oops, let's move it in a little bit. Just like that. Is that straight? I think so. There we go. And now to just dress it up a little bit, where are they? I'm using the champagne rhinestones. And as you can see, this is actually how I store my embellishments. These are actually the plastic cases that our dies come in. And because I mount my dies on a magnetic sheet on the same cardboard that they come on, but I put the magnet sheet on so that my dies can stick to it, well, then I have these folders left. And so what I do is I just cut where you usually have that little slit, and then you just cut it, and I just angled it down a little bit and I labeled, and now I have a nice way of organizing all my embellishments. So there's a little tip. I've tried many different ways over the years, but this has definitely been my favorite way of storing them, because I find that they're clear and so you can see through them. It just really works really well. So basically you're going to put these just wherever you want. 1, 2, maybe we'll use a little one if I can get underneath it there. Or up there. Where? Maybe actually we're going to put it right on here. Happy holidays. There we go. All right. So there we have the card. But yes, do try some embossing fun. You can see that this is now dry to the touch, but the paper still feels a little bit moist. So you definitely got to let it dry. But there's the beautiful card. And then if you want to do the inside, I just lost where my paper is. Here we go. Too many things on my table. So let's move this guy out of the way. Here's my card for inside. And I was just going to show you, this is that beautiful die cut that you could cut out, and you could put that on your inside, or you could put, again, some peppermints or some of the cutout candy, or you could use your stamp and you can then stamp an image. And I think that's what I'm going to do in this case, is I'm going to stamp an image. But there is lots of choices that you can do with this stamp set. When I started making some samples, I honestly could not stop because the ideas just kept coming and coming. And I had to literally stop and say, no, I got to go to a different card. Make some more samples for my gals. So, yes, I have been enjoying this bundle, that's for sure. So, now we got, and I am going to be offering some special classes also in end of November. And not only making some cards, but I'm also going to do something very unique in that we are going to use the Memory and More cards. And I am going to be putting on a special class that will be making our own recipe book. And it will also be a cookie exchange at the same time. So be watching for details because that is going to be a very popular and fun class to attend. So you won't want to miss that. So now I just put, oh, well, it's going to go on the top. I was thinking going this way. I'm too busy talking and not paying attention. Good thing it's okay. It can go on the top, no problem. Got to do our inside. Actually, I'll put that on the top. But see how it's kind of variegated? It's not even, just makes it really look like a cookie. That's not exactly all the same color there. Okay, so there we have our inside. But as you can see, that would have been just as nice to make that into a card front, or you could have put that on the inside. Lots of possibilities. But there's our card. So I hope you enjoy, and hopefully you can make one of these too. Thanks for now, and be sure to check out Madeleine's Craft Room. I have all my classes and all kinds of resources and everything there for you to see. Thanks very much, and if I can help you, let me know. Bye-bye for now.